Okay. It's good, Nana Nation. It's your boy Melky, always here doing the things the Melky way, pouring a tall glass of fresh milk, pulling out a new batch of cookies. And of course, guiding me is the man who doesn't need a fake persona to get the job done. His bazooka is always locked, cocked, and unloaded, and ready to unload. It's El Jefe. How are you, Holmes?
Yo, baby, I'm living my best life. As you can see, I'm drinking some White Claw. Claw is a law. I'm feeling good. I hit the vape a couple times. I'm in a good spot, baby. Let's do this.
Let's get it.
Mm. I always thought drinking something like White Claw would make me feel empty inside. But the only thing that's empty inside is the calories. Because one net carb, baby. Let's do this. I'm there all day. Let's go.
You know what? I was in a couple of those this weekend, and I felt pretty good the next morning. So you know what?
Yeah.
If I get labeled as a wuss drinking one, so be it. They're fucking delicious.
Yeah, I'm over. There's a reason. First and foremost, there's a reason why basic white bitches love this drink. It's because it's super easy to drink. Like,
Hundo.
yeah, Sex on the Beach is great, but like 60 grams of sugar, you can't do that. I can't. I'm 38, bitch. I can't be doing that. I like to
Oh,
watch my goddamn net carbs.
yeah, all that heartburn. Who wants that?
Fuck
I ain't
yeah.
got time for
Oh,
that.
dude, when I get heartburn now, I'm so frustrated because I'm like, I know better. I shouldn't be dealing with goddamn heartburn.
Yeah, but we
That's
never
what,
will.
that's what my 20s was for. Tight ass jeans and heartburn.
But speaking of not getting heartburn,
Yeah.
no.
Perfect segue.
I'm just playing. Um, we're here with another installment of Melk and Cookies. Of course, it's Melky and El Jefe himself in the hizzy. And we're talking about fake personas used to get some action or get that one night stand.
Mm,
Now, I got to ask you,
yeah,
have you
man.
ever done this? And if you have, please reveal the story.
All right, man. Like, first and foremost, I just want to get it out early. And we forgot to do this last time we recorded, but this is a full disclaimer about this podcast. Um, if you're easily offended, get out now.
Please.
If you haven't already been offended.
Yeah,
Um, you know, like, sometimes we call bitches bitches, but not because they're women or female. It's because they bitches. Um, like we call hoes hoes because they're hoes,
because you're a
not
hoe.
to be derogatory, just calling a spade a spade. So from the bottom of my heart, if you get offended by this, I am sorry, but you're in the wrong podcast. We're gonna get dirty. This is not safe for work. If you are listening to this in the car with kids, please shut it down and put us in your ears while you're taking a dump or something, because you know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, we're just here to get nitty gritty. And if this isn't for you, you know, please believe you need to leave.
Yeah. Like feeling cute. Might delete later. It is what it is. Okay. Enough said. Okay. So with that being said, Melky, tonight's theme topic is like disguising or like lying. Some people might call it lying. Some people might call it being creative. I'm not too sure where I lie on the fence with this one. But have I ever? Technically, yes.
Okay. Now,
Technically, yes.
now, please share with our lovely viewers and listeners.
I'll tell you this, man. Don't lie. First and foremost, don't lie.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. Everyone knows that. Be yourself. And mine's not even like that, even that crazy. But me and my boys, we used to love going out and singing karaoke. Now, I'm not good at it, but I feel like I got a certain stage presence. Kind of like, when you see someone shitting in the streets, you don't want to watch them shit in the streets, but you're curious why they're doing that. And I feel like I bring that same energy to the karaoke stage. That being said, one night, um, we met these girls, and they were all kind of like, I don't know how to phrase it. Like they were exotic, and I don't want to say it like that because I feel like that's a kind of cliche, but they weren't like the regular white trash people that would normally go to this bar. Like this girl was half Danish, half Trinidadian. Okay,
Ooh,
so like
exotic.
and probably like your sister, man. I don't even know for sure, but the crazy thing was
My
we met.
sister, sorry, man. My sister looks like Sideshow Bob on a good day. So,
I'll drink to Mo's sister. But this girl, like, she was light skin, great, like nice eyes, and then like wavy curly hair, tall, like she was checking off a lot of boxes for me. And like I was chatting with her, and we kind of had like, okay, she was in the Sean Paul video for dun 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 dun.
Get busy.
Get busy, yeah.
Okay.
She was in that music video, right? So that's a caliber of girl. She was in a Canadian music video, so I'm gonna put that out there. Yeah, we started chatting, and like I don't even know how it got started, but like the night ended, we were kissing, making out. We were chatting. She's like, "How old are you?" I'm like, "Well, I got a baby face." You know, at the time I couldn't even grow facial hair. I was probably like 22, 23 years old, and she's like, "Oh, I'm 26." I'm like, "That's yeah." I'm 26 too. You know, I had to lie because I didn't have game. I was 23. I barely knew how to like not stand awkwardly, and we probably like this whole relationship was probably 3 weeks long because I fucked up. You could get to know somebody, you start chatting, and she's like, "What high school did you grow up in the area?" I was like, "Yeah, I grew up Streetsville, whatever." She's like, "Oh my gosh," she's like, "We grew up in Streetsville too, but I didn't go to any of the schools there. I still went to the schools where in Etobicoke, where I was from. But my sister went to St. Joe's." I'm like, "Oh shit, I went to St. Joe's too." Not even thinking, like being a total dummy. Then the first thing she did was call her sister, asked her if she knew me. Her sister was no joke 2 years older than I was.
Oh
They go
shit.
through yearbooks. They find the only yearbook that I'm in is my grade 9 photo, which everyone's grade 9 photos fucked. So she's like, "Yo," she called me up and she's like, like at this point, we had progressed nicely. Like she had met my family. She even braided my fucking hair.
Mm.
Fuck, those were good days.
You were on some next level shit.
Oh man, I was like so proud of myself. I was like, listen, I feel like I get cred for this too because it's like this is outside of what I'm used to dating. This is like different for me. It was exciting, and of course I had to fucking lie about my age
Yeah.
because she wasn't gonna date a younger guy. End of the day, I could have been exactly what she wanted and needed. She wasn't gonna date me. I was 3 or 4 years younger than her. Now I think of it, but I remember before ghosting was cool. I got ghosted,
Oh,
and we didn't have a name for it back then either. That's how bad it was. But I remember calling her and being like, "Hey, what are you up to this weekend? You want to get together?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Everything good?" She's like, "I'm gonna actually go to this guy's cottage." I'm like, "Okay, cool." She's
wow.
like, "Yeah." She's like, "You can call me if you want, but like we'll be out and whatever." I'm like, "Okay, this is like really weird." I didn't even know how to take it, like whirlwind of emotion, and I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't even know how to take it, and so I remember calling her. I'm like, "Hey." Like I left a voicemail. It was so lame, and I left this voicemail. I'm like, I think I did the math in my head. I think you found out how old I actually am, but like I want to know. Like, can you just call me? Can we just talk? Like, it can be cool. I was like, even if this doesn't work out, like, can we still be cool? I remember leaving this voicemail and immediately regretting leaving this voicemail. Like, I remember thinking of the words to say and then instantly regretting thinking them, but then I said them, and I was like,
Yeah.
there's no coming back from this. And then I was just like too far deep into like this wormhole of like shit. So like no, she never called me back. I ended up at one point seeing her sister randomly. I didn't even know her sister. I just looked her sister up in my yearbook and I saw her and I'm like, oh, I know who that girl is. And I remember seeing her. I remember asking her about her sister, and she's like, wait, are you actually? You know what? Now that I think of it, I wasn't even 20. I was like 19 at the time. And I remember she's like, "You that 19-year-old that tries to sleep with my sister?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, technically that I guess so, yeah."
You're famous.
Dude, like I brought her home. I brought her home to meet my parents, and it was like, I thought for sure like things were gonna happen with this girl. She dropped me so quickly. Don't lie. Listen, young guys, if you're listening to this, don't be a dummy. Look at me. Look at me. Don't be a dummy. Just be yourself. It will fucking work. Don't lie.
Yeah,
That's
you
one of two.
you could definitely meet an Aunt Zippy, you just play your cards right.
If we could all be as lucky as you, Mel, like if we could all be as lucky to meet an Aunt Zippy. I met an Aunt Zippy once. This is like the side story from our last podcast. If you don't know who Aunt Zippy is, just go back, find the last Milk and Cookie. But I met my version of Aunt Zippy, and I totally should have brought this up, but it wasn't part of the theme. But my Aunt Zippy was this lady. We met at this bar. We used to follow this band called the Joys, and they were playing like whatever Brampton or something. And so we ended up meeting this couple who introduced us to another couple. They put everyone in their minivan. Some of us didn't even have seats. And
Whoa.
I ended up fingering and making out with the guy's wife in the back seat only because they didn't have a rear view mirror. For some reason, it wasn't there. So I was making out. She was totally on board for it. But listen, like, I'm not proud of that moment. But that moment happened. That was the closest to my Aunt Zippy that I would get. So
Man, you know what I thought automatically? I was thinking Scooby Doo, the Shagmobile, man.
it was like a minivan. It was like a Dodge Caravan.
The caravan, yeah.
Anyways, Mel, you got a crazy story where you had to bend the truth to get some fruit.
You get yeah. So I did it once too, and it's actually pretty hilarious. It didn't work out because let's face it, nobody gave two flying fucks of what I was doing. So my buddies and I, we decided we're gonna go out. It's a Friday night, and we're just not gonna be ourselves. We're gonna be different people. And I don't know how this came about. I don't know if we were high, if we were already drunk, the pre-drinks were flowing, just ideas were popping. So we're like, yeah, we're gonna be different people tonight. So my one buddy, he's a tall, lanky blonde. He looked like a prototypical like pilot.
Like Hitler's youth.
Pretty much. He got attention like Hitler too. No, just yeah. So and he loved Tom Cruise and what's the movie called? Him and uh, shoot, what's that movie called? Top Gun. Yes.
Yeah.
He basically looked like Val Kilmer.
Yo, Top Gun's coming back.
I heard, and I can't wait for that. I'm
the preview's insane.
I can't wait. So yeah, he kind of looked like Val Kilmer. So I worked for Hakeem Optical at the time, and I would always just like 5-finger discount, like things left, right, and I got him.
Wait, was it more than 7 years ago, Melky? Because you could get yourself in trouble, Mr. Hakeem. This is a different Hakeem Optical.
Yeah, this was Sir Hakeem Optical. No.
I heard them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got him a pair of aviators. So he's like, I'm gonna rock these tonight. I'm gonna say I'm a pilot. I'm like, that's gonna fucking work. My one buddy, he always used to like dress up in like tailor suits and three pieces, 2 pieces. So he said, and he had the gift of gab. Like he wasn't the best looking guy, but he had the gift of gab. So he said, I'm gonna be an agent tonight. Like Ari Gold.
Yeah. Of course.
So he was an agent. And then we had another guy. I think he said he was going to be a pro wrestler because he was really big.
Yeah.
So amateur pro wrestler. He was really big. He was built like to shreds. And then there was me. So I worked, like I was saying, I worked for Hakeem Optical. So I actually had Mr. Hakeem's phone number. And I don't know how I got it, but I ended up having it. It was in my phone. So because of my background, so I'm half Jordanian, half Jamaican. I'm like, I can work with this. I'm gonna say I'm Persian. I'm going to wear really cheap cologne. I'm going to dress in funky colors, with the white pants and like the cheesy like collar shirt. I'm gonna button it down a couple. I'm going to put an abundance of gel in my hair so it's not as nappy. And I'm going to say I'm Mr. Hakeem's son.
I love it.
So we went to, do you remember a place called Energy or Kingdom?
NRG?
Yeah. I
totally remember it. That was the first club I actually ever went to. The first real club I ever went to.
Yeah. So you know exactly where it is too. So that's the place we were rolling to. And not the best of the best there, but no, it's a place where our stories could be believable. This is where we're testing it out. So we roll in, and it's actually bumping that night. Like there's all types of like girls are they're the goths, they're the hip hoppers, they're the teeny boppers. They're like
Yeah.
just like everything, right?
Yeah, that mosh pit of like underage, and then everything else wasn't. It was like everyone of age was just staring at the people who were
Mm-hmm.
who were just
Exactly.
staring at them until they were of age.
Exactly. So you know it hands down. So we're in there, and my one buddy, he just goes to the bar. He's wearing his aviators. The wait or the bartender, she asks, "Oh, why are you wearing your sunglasses?" He's like, I'm just so used to it. I fly, like all these commercial flights, and I just don't take. I'm not me without them. And she's like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." She's like, "Yeah, would you like to go see? I could take you on a tour one day." Like, so he had his was the easiest because he just had to keep the aviators on. So his was the easiest. My one other guy, so he's kind of out of place because he's all dressed up. Because that's
No,
it's not a place where you dress up, man. You
yeah,
dress
like you wear
down.
jeans. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
dress down for this place. So he didn't have the best of luck, but I think he went home with a fire crotch. And for those who don't know what a fire crotch is, that's a redhead.
Yeah.
um, my one other buddy, he just looking at him scared the shit out of everyone. So I think he had a girl. He had a girl on the side anyway. So he just ended up going back to her. And then there's me. I'm walking in. I probably look ridiculous, and I wish I took a picture of this. I did not, uh, but I just look ridiculous. Don't really look Persian, but I smell Persian. And I'm sorry if I offend you Persians, but you guys love your cheap cologne, and
Yeah,
I should know.
and Persia hasn't been a country for like 3,000 years, so you're good.
Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
rolling, man. Um, I'm just. Oh, and I was wearing. I wasn't wearing socks, but I was wearing like those like a really pointy like
Yeah.
dress suit.
Yeah. Skis.
Yeah, exactly. So I somehow managed to like reel one in, and we're just shooting the shit. She's like, "Oh, what do you do?" It's like, "Well, I have a famous father." She's like, "Who's your father?" I'm like, "Oh, you ever heard of Hakeem Optical?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll pass by them. There's like so many of them." I'm like, "Oh, that's my father." She's like, "No." And I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Prove it." I'm like, so I pull out his phone number. I'm like, "I got his phone number. You want me to call him?" She's like, "Do you want to call?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll call him. I'll tell him to like get us a limo. We'll fucking go back to the mansion, up in Richmond Hill." And she's like, "Oh, you'd really do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not? Like, let's party. So she's like, "No, no, no, no need to do that. I'm with my friends. Let's stick around for a little bit." So I was just rolling with that. It was a lot of fun. I got her number, but like nothing happened after that. Like I was so drunk that night. I fucking didn't care after that. But I was just the guy. Like, it's Mr. Hakeem's son. Yeah. So I think
Like
that was the
you
only.
probably made her weekend. She probably told everybody she knew that she met the son of the Hakeem heir.
Right. I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she retold the story. It's like I met someone famous at Energy of all places. Like, so it was a lot of fun. Like I said, nothing went down with that, but I didn't care. I just had fun with it. But other than that, man, I'm just me. I'm too lazy to be someone I'm not. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It made me it triggered listening to your story made triggered me to remember a couple other stories. But me and my buddies, we every year we do a road trip, and this one year we went to Pittsburgh. Now I had like super low expectations for Pittsburgh, and I was like, let's just have like a great time. It was like the best time ever. We went to this one place called Mario's, depending on what if you're Italian or not. And at at Mario's, like it was like you walk in and it's kind of like, is this a family restaurant? And what it's two one's a restaurant and a bar, but they're side by side, and
Okay.
basically it's like a shoehorn. You walk around it, and so they push all the tables and the chairs into like one section, and then you essentially walk around this horseshoe, and then you get to the bar. The bar has this huge like spinner thing on the top, and you spin it. You pay $8, you spin it, and they give you a triple of whatever shot it lands on.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, so like my buddy's like one buddy got like Three Wiseman, which is like Jose Cuervo, Jack Daniels, and like Jack Bean or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. Is disgusting.
Yeah, it
So
sounds disgusting.
I spun it and it's like Swedish berries. I'm like, well, first of all, I don't even know what shot that is, but I love the candy. So if it's anything close, I'm in. And I remember the waitress pouring out the shot, and no joke, she took a short rock glass and basically filled it to half. I'm like, no. I took 4 shot glasses and I poured that one drink into 4 shot glasses. I gave one to the bartender and one to me and my buddies. But we saw these girls that were sitting out. Let me preface this by saying we were 3 or 4 of the guys were all engaged at the time, or maybe we're all in relationship, whatever. But we saw these girls in the bar, so we ended up talking with them. One of the girls works for the fucking FBI. But the crazy story is, we had been to all over the place, but this whole road trip thing started in Ohio. We went to go meet this girl that I had met on a cruise and her friends. One of the friends my buddy hooked up with, one of the girls went to that school who knew that girl. Like, so crazy, right?
Small world, man.
Yeah, these dudes from Canada were in Pittsburgh for like 2 days, 2 nights, 3 days, and we meet these girls who went to the same school as those girls we first met the first road trip. It was like this big roundabout, crazy moment. But the reason why I'm telling the story is my buddy, who's a cop, loves and also hates being a cop. He loves the fact that he's a cop because it's probably the job he wanted to do, but he also hates the stigma of being a cop. Right? Fair.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, tonight. So we start talking to these girls, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a hairstylist. My family owns this salon, 40 years." But he's basically telling my story in front of me, and I'm playing catch up. I'm like, I'm a police officer, and so like basically we were just trading lives. So like I guess it's kind of like fits the theme, but the point is like, I remember talking to this girl. She's like, I actually work for the U.S. government. I'm like, what? Are you for real? She's like, well, you're an officer, you get it. I'm like, yeah, totally. To serve and protect, right? Am I right or am I right? So I'm like, well, what do you do? And she's like, I can't tell you. I'm like, what do you mean you can't tell me? Like, I don't even live in this country. She's like, exactly why I can't tell you. I'm like, that's totally, like, you know what? It's all making sense to me. It was, so I pretended to be a cop to talk to this chick for like 2 hours, and then we're all like, okay, well, we're gonna head back to our hotel room, and she's like, you guys don't want to come with us? I'm like, listen, like, not for nothing, we're all engaged or in relationships, but we're just like having a night. But thank you, like, it's obviously like an honor that you guys are like actually talking to us. So that was crazy. That was a fun night, crazy night, but that was a really false identity kind of night.
You know what? That actually reminds me of another story, and I wish I'd gone with it because who knows what I could have gotten out of it. So this is 3 years ago. Yeah, almost 3 years ago. So I just escaped from the troll. I was no longer with
The
hairy titty bridge troll bitch, and we were in Hamilton, down on Augusta Street, and there's like a ton of bars, like it's like bar after bar after bar. So we were at this place, Shipwreck, and man, I wanted to just look different, feel different. So one of my good friends, he's a hairdresser, and
I like him already.
Yeah, no, he's Italian too, so gives some good times.
Yeah.
So I know you don't like the NFL, but at the time, one of the biggest stars was Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
And he had the blonde at the top, and so you know what? I'm like, I want to do something like that. Why can't I do something like that? I'm part black, come on. So I had his missus do it for me. And she did a pretty decent job. It didn't go blonde. It was more like a dirty brown, it was more of a dirty brown. So long story short, so I was hitting the gym at the time too, like more than I ever had been. So I was pretty ripped, like I was pretty jacked. And we go to get into this place, and the bouncer looks at me and he says, "Where's the rest of your guys?" And I'm like, the people that are behind me? Like, no, your boys. Where are your boys? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, your boys, the guys on your team. He thought I played for the Hamilton Ticats.
Oh, nice.
And they were expecting like them to show up because they had just won a few hours earlier. And I looked at him, and I wanted to go with it, but I'm like, how far can I go with it? I didn't. But the fact that he thought I was like a Hamilton Tiger player, I was like, fuck, man. Like looking back at it, I'm like, I wish I just said, yeah, they're on the way, man. Like, come,
Yeah. I'm early. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just early to the party, right? And I didn't. I regret. And then my everybody like looked at me like, what just happened? I'm like, oh, he thought I played for the Tigers. Like, why didn't you fucking go with it? And I'm like, conscience kicked in, like,
Yeah. Man,
it's pretty cool.
like I love those moments. Like it's so funny because like we're triggering each other's memories. But
Mm.
when I used to do my stage work, we did this thing in Mexico, and we were in Puerto Vallarta, and I had this like
Solid place, by the way.
yeah, I had this like white linen suit, a teal dress shirt underneath, linen dress shirt, and a fucking white silk tie. I roll into this party. Yeah. I roll into this
Yep.
party. Now, like, picture this. Like, I'm probably in my prime. I'm 20, maybe 25, 26. Like, physically, I probably never was in better shape. I was just boxing at the time. I had some shoulder work going on. Everything was, like, good. And I remember going to this party, and it was in a hotel lobby, but there was, like, 4, maybe 500 people. I walk in, and all of now they're hairstylists from all over North America, all over like U.S. from the U.S. like probably like 20 from Canada, hundreds from the U.S. Some from Mexico, some from like the Middle East, like um, Lebanon,
Oh wow.
and Jordan. There's tons of hairstylists there. Like I said, a couple hundred people. I think at the most maybe 600 people, maybe 700 people, but I'm there and like I'm in my physical peak. Like I feel good. I like at the time I had like long curly hair. I'm gonna show you pictures one day. You're gonna laugh at it.
Sweet.
All the Mexican women from ages, I'm gonna say 20 to 70, come up to me, saying something to me, right? And I'm like smiling, like flashes are going off, and my buddy pulls me to the side. He's Canadian, but he's originally from Lebanon. And for whatever reason spoke Spanish, and he goes, they think you're somebody else. I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, whatever, cool. He's like, no. You look like a Mexican soap star. They think you're him. You got to tell them you're not. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, there's like 30 girls here wanting to take photos with me. I'm going to tell them after the photos are taken.
Right?
I remember laughing so hard, dude. First of all, I don't even know why I owned a white linen suit.
Because you're a fancy guy.
Yeah, right? And like I remember like it was like the peak. Then the craziest thing, that guy, his name was Woody.
Where's Buzz?
Yeah, right, exactly. Woody's wife or girlfriend at the time wasn't even his girlfriend, who later became his wife, came up to me and she's just like, all these women think you are like so beautiful. I just want you to know, like, you're not. You're just kind of good looking. And I was like, I didn't know what to think. She said she was British. She said with an accent, and I couldn't tell if she was being like condescending or if she was just being like don't get like she was like just prepping me because this was like my first. This was 2007, and she was probably just like telling me, hey, like listen, like don't get too much of a big head. But the way I took it was like she was like, listen, you're not that good looking. Relax. So I was like eating this up. It was like a highlight of my trip. I remember that night. Or sorry, the next day we had another convention. It was like a 3 or 4 day convention. It was at this like really nice resort. One of the girls I danced with like the whole night. She spoke almost no English. I spoke zero Spanish. Like arriba was the only thing I knew. I don't even know what that means. It just sounds good to say.
No hablo español.
Exactly. I remember. So I was sharing the room with like my mentor at the time, who was like the person who got me into the company. She was like, I always call her like Mama Bear because she always took care of me, even though she's only like 5 or 6 years older than me. She always took care of me. She's always like making sure that I was doing like the right thing. Very Mama Bear-ish, right? So we're sharing a room. She gets a phone call saying that there's a girl coming to our room. And she's like, who's this girl? And she's like, she didn't understand what's going on. This girl shows up. She's one of the girls I was dancing with the night before. She's like, I'm here to help you get ready. And I was like, what? She's like, do you need any help with anything? I'm like, yeah, I got one thing you can help me with.
Yeah.
Right? So like in my head, I'm like, oh my God, this girl's obviously making the moves on me. My roommate, Nikki, she was off in her own world getting ready for the night. You know, like those women, they need like those that like 2 hours to get themselves properly ready. So I was just gonna I like a beige, a big stretch from my white linen suit. I had a beige linen suit that I was gonna
Jeez,
wear
man.
with like
Sounds
a
like
white,
Miami Vice, man.
right? But okay, first and foremost, I sweat a lot. Like I sweat in the shower, and then on top of that, it's like I'm gonna be in Mexico in August. Like what? Why? Nobody Mexicans don't want to be in Mexico in August.
No,
Mm.
definitely.
So I said to the girl, I'm like, I'm just gonna shower in like 10 minutes. If you want, you can join me, which she declined. And then I was like, I'm gonna steam my shirt and then I'm gonna just go. She's like, I'll iron it for dude. This girl ironed my shirt, ironed my suit, my linen suit, while I showered, and then I kept like kind of like drawing her into the bathroom, and she wouldn't have any of it. She's like, I'm just here to help you get ready. I'm like, what is going on? So I tried to talk to like one of the guys I kind of like befriended. He spoke really good English. He's Mexican. I'm like, what's going on here? So he told me the whole thing, how I look like a soap star, how like all the girls were talking about me. My head was like huge, but at the end of the day, they're like you just look like him. We're like, you're not him, so we don't care. You just kind of look like him. I was heartbroken, but also like so like ego satisfied too.
I have a question for you.
Mm.
Did you contemplate staying in Mexico because you were this famous soap opera star?
So the crazy thing is, my love from tequila stems from this trip.
Oh
So
shit!
I went to Mexico for the company 4 or 5 times. Um, 4 or 5 times in Mexico, and then 4 times to Houston, which is basically American Mexico. But
It's true.
yeah, but
Yeah, no, it's
that's where
true.
my love for tequila
Yeah.
stems. But because I kind of look like this soap star, which the crazy thing was I tried to Google him, I couldn't Google him, and it's also 2007. It wasn't like as intuitive as it is today. So I remember kind of like being like adopted by all the Mexicans, the Mexicans that were part of the company, and they tell me what tequila to drink, like not to drink that water, like don't drink that, drink this instead. They introduced me to like all great tequila drinks. They introduced me to they like adopted me, like I became an adopted Mexican, which I'm very proud of to this day, and it's why my collection of tequila is so vast. So it all stemmed from 2007, looking like a soap star, having
Damn.
long curly hair, and fucking wearing a linen suit. You know what though? I fucking love that memory. It's one of those great memories where you're like, hey, you know the closest thing I got before? Do you remember the fucking TV show Joe Millionaire? Came out in like 2003.
Sure.
The whole premise
It
was
sounds familiar. It sounds familiar.
that you got this really handsome guy who just happened to have like the same curly hair that I had at the time, and they told all these girls that he's a millionaire looking for love when he wasn't. He was like a construction worker. He's just like a handsome guy.
Oh shit!
You remember the show?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He was like a lumberjack looking guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I used to look like, right? Like before I lost all my hair and got fat, that's what I used to look like. So that was like my claim to fame before. Like I looked like Joe Millionaire, which was not a fucking compliment, even though he's a handsome dude.
He was a handsome dude, though, man. Like
He was a handsome dude. But
I would still take it as a compliment.
anyways, that was it. So that was like my like I went with it, and I didn't necessarily trigger the lie. I just went with the fabrication that I kind of looked like the guy.
See, I think that's okay, man. Like if people assume already, you haven't said anything.
My hands are clean.
I say just go with it.
Yeah. Okay, now here's a question.
Right.
Have you ever lied for someone trying to be, for example, like, have you ever lied for your girlfriend or whatever, or a girl? Have you ever lied for a girl to your buddies? And I'll start because I got to start off the hop.
Okay, yeah, you start.
My wife is 7 years younger than me, which is what it is. And you know what? It's all good. Here's the thing. I had dated high and low on the age chart. You know, I had an Aunt Zippy moment when I was like 21. I was dating like a 29, 30-year-old. That's one thing. But I never really enjoyed going younger in age. For me, it just never made any sense. I always kind of appreciated the same or close to age. But when I met my wife, I didn't know how old she was. And we just started talking, and I couldn't tell my buddies. I had a hard time telling my buddies that there was that much of an age difference. It's technically not 7 years; it's like 6.5 years. And I always downplay it to like, oh yeah, there's 6 years difference, but like it it's always kind of like secretly bothered me. Not now, like now that I'm 38 and she's 32, it doesn't really bother me. But at the time, it was a little hard, so I'd always like fabricate to my buddies. I'm like, yeah, she's a couple years younger, and they're like, well, how old is she? Like, well, it doesn't really matter. It got crazy though because my buddy, who's a year older than me, his wife's a year or two older than him. Between his wife and my wife, there's 11 years difference. And then I got super crazy one trip. We used to always go to the cottage together. I said, hey, just out of curiosity, Andrea, when did you start getting your period? And she's like, oh, when I was 11 years old. I was like, oh, like technically you could be Brittany's mother. Like you could have had her. I could be dating your daughter right now. How crazy would that be? Right? So anyways, that was like, it's like a little bit of a stretch. It didn't hurt my shoulder trying to reach for that one.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah. Like, have you ever had to do that?
No, you know why? Because I've always, for the most part, I've always dated older. So it was one of those things where I bragged about them being older. It's like, oh, by the way, because my buddies would assume, oh, they're my age or whatever. But I'd be
Yeah.
like, no, she's like 5 years older. No, Aunt Zippy's like 25 years older. You know? Like, I just always bragged about it. So, no, I've never had to like hide anything like that or
That would be a good topic for another Milk and Cookies, just like
definitely.
age differences, because like I guess technically I've been on both ends of the scale. But yeah. Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we just wrap on this topic because we're kind of like at the 40-minute mark. I probably rambled for like 2 minutes before this podcast started.
I wouldn't
So
call
it's
it
like,
rambling, man. It was gold.
yeah, dude, like it's so crazy. And you know, like I feel for those guys who put the front on and then they have to like work their way back from it. Like for me, it's like, listen, if you have to lie, it's probably not a good thing. But those guys who try to like maintain it and keep it up, I had a buddy. Oh my god, I got to tell a story before we
Yeah,
go.
do it, man. Let's get it.
I had a buddy dating a girl. She was technically married, but the relationship was going south. When she introduced him to her friends, she introduced him as this is my buddy blank. He's gay. So he had to pretend he was gay in front of her family, her friends, her husband, until
Mm.
all of a sudden he wasn't gay, and now they're in a relationship. But it came back to bite him because when the cards were down and he moved across the GTA to be with her, she then said, like, I'm good, I'm out. Thanks for nothing. And he was stuck with his house on the other side of the GTA. So
Oh,
away from all of his friends, all but one of his friends, and like his family. So a crazy story. But like, listen, just I said it from the beginning. Don't be fools. Don't lie. Just be yourself. If it doesn't work out, it's not meant to be. No matter how hard you want. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine.
yeah. You know what? Just let them not like you for being you. You know what I mean?
Right?
No need to go that extra mile just to have a cover story. It's not worth
What's
it, man.
what's worse? What's worse? Having to tell a person you lied, or just being upfront, being like, listen, I'm not this age, but doesn't mean we can't still be together. We can't be fun. You know, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Let's just be cool. All right. But you know what? It's hard because at the end of the day, we're only human. The natural instinction is to be like, do whatever it takes to get the goal. If that girl's a goal, sure, I'm 26 years old as well, or I'm super gay. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, like I get it. I get why people do it, but you don't have to do it, people. Just remember that you don't have to do it.
Well, first of all, going back to your comment, it's hard. That's what she said. And secondly, Um, yeah, and like just to chime on what you just mentioned, it's gonna blow up in your face no matter. Either it's gonna blow up in your face at the beginning or later. So you know what? You might as well just let it blow up in your face now. Save
It's not
yourself
going
some
to be good.
time.
It's just
No,
at the end of the day, it's not going to be good.
save yourself time. Just pull out this one line. You look as tasty as an Oreo cookie. Now all you need is some cream filling, and you know what? You're in.
If that works, I'm buying your drinks for the whole night. If that works. Look, man, take us home. Let's put a ribbon on this guy.
You know what? First of all, Happy New Year, bro. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. Uh, this is Melk and Cookies. We're just here having fun. We love you, women, but at the same time, you make us crazy. So on that note, Anthony, you got anything on the up and up? What's coming to a pod near
Yeah, my
you?
man. Thank you. So, really nothing. Lockdown. I'm being a dad, super dadding it. I just want to say, fans of the Not After 30 podcast, listen, there's stuff in the pipeline. I just need to get organized and get it all sorted out. But stay true. The Mustard Guys and Tim Carr and everything else is going to keep us afloat until NA can be a little bit more frequent. It's just life's crazy. I'm trying my best here, guys. That's kind of it. Also, I was gonna say I was gonna draw on like a mustache and wear glasses as a disguise for this whole pod. So if you're watching us on YouTube, I'm sort of disappointed. What I did was I exposed one ear and kept one ear in my toque.
Damn.
Hopefully that was enough of a difference.
I think so.
Is that Anthony? No, El Jefe would never wear that.
Definitely
Which is
not.
true. I would never wear a hat like this. I just look so cool. That's it. I'm just saying. All right. With that being said, I'm good. Melky, take us home, baby.
Hey, thank you for listening. It's another episode of Melk and Cookies, and as you know, that's how the cookie crumbles. Till next time.